Howdy folks, I'm Rebecca Jolly, the Jolly Alchemist, today here with a neutrino forecast for Thursday, the 4th of September, 2025. So today we begin the right angle cross of consciousness as we begin to explore Gate 64, and that is all about the awareness of confusion. So when it comes to the cross of consciousness, because this is a right angle cross, we have 4 different angles. So 4 different versions of the cross. It shows up 4 times a year. So there's a lot of these people in the world. And they're really dealing with this mental confusion that's going on here in the 64th gate. They also, of course, have the 63rd gate. So they're talking about awareness of confusion and also doubt or suspicion or, my partner has it, skepticism is what we call it. So these people, they're meant to be inspiring agents. But what happens is internally, they themselves are often very confused. And I can say that when I've given readings for these people, and from having studied these people since they're there to study, it seems like they're here to have a consciousness raising experience and to inspire others to have consciousness raising experiences, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they do. So it's almost like they're meant to do it, but in the expression of their not self, a lot of times we see them trying to avoid it. I had a manifestor who wanted to come and stay with me for a while, live with us and study with me and raise her consciousness. And when she got here and I said, okay, well, here's some very good books to get you started. Really, you need to learn about My Big Toe, Tom Campbell, and quantum physics, and you need to learn about your design and that sort of thing. And she was faced with the actual work of studying herself and facing her fears, and she just ran away. And it was like, okay, guess not. But we do see that there are some people who have the cross of consciousness who have made the effort and are, pretty inspiring to other people because of the work that they have done on their own selves. And when it comes to that, let me give you these names real quick. John Gage, Idris Elba, Werner Herzog, Jesse James, Michael Keaton, Richard Rudd. So he studied with Ra and, of course, had his own revelatory experiences and has taken advantage, because of human design, of making this a consciousness raising experience for him in this life. So he's a pretty good example of that. He's not always my favorite person, but he's certainly tried to fill his design. Yeah. Raquel Welch, Richard Wright, I believe that's one of the Wright brothers, Freddie Mercury, and Beyonce. I think we can definitely see in Beyonce somebody who is trying to be inspirational to others, is facilitating a lot of consciousness raising in other people, although she herself might experience a great amount of confusion in her own life or in her own way of thinking it, because these people are definitely mentally busy. And they can be, in some respects, mentally tortured until they learn how to put all that mental activity in its own place. And of course, Ra speaks at great length about the way to do that is to take the authority for making decisions away from the mind. We have to take the mind out of control of our lives and get that authority where it belongs, which is in our bodies, except for a very, very few and rare number of people whose authority is in talking and soundboarding with other people. But even then, it's not in your own mind. It's never, ever, ever in your own mind, because our minds no longer have the capacity to handle the complexity of the world. And if we're trying to make decisions out of our minds, we're fucked. We're just not going to do it right. The mind isn't set up to do it right. So that's part of what makes human design wonderful. It helps us find where our true authority for making decisions is and live in that. And then the brain can do what it was meant to do, which is just look at it. just look at it. Just let it go through, study it, examine it, notice the difference, measure, see this and that, recognize the patterns, make sense of the patterns, all this kind of nice mental stuff, but without the pressure to actually do something about it on top of it. The brain is not made for that. So anyway, 64, line 1. 64 Keys calls it transition. Ra names it conditions. It's reflection on the sense of condition. So it's basically seeing how things are. People who have a 64th gate activation, especially in the first line, they just get images. They get a lot of mental images about lots of things, and if they don't have their head straight on what's going on between their head and their bodies, they can get really wrapped up in these things. Ra uses the image of imagining your mother in the kitchen. Every time you go in the kitchen, you have this sense memory of your mother in the kitchen, and if you didn't know, that was just something rattling around in there because of that 64th gate. You would think, oh my gosh, do I need to be obsessed about this? Why am I always thinking of my mother in the kitchen? Well, it's just one of those things that comes up. So many images come up. It's kind of like, I think, those people who have epilepsy. I don't know if you've ever been exposed to that. I don't have epilepsy, but being a third line, I went to visit somebody who had it, and I decided to do an experiment. So I had an epileptic fit while I was living with those people. And so I was able to experience what epilepsy is like for these people. And it was really just lightning flashes of everything, like every memory, every place I've ever been in my life, just, and I was just going with all these, just sensory, visual, complex memories, but there was no sense to it. There was no order to it. It was really just a random firing. And that, I think, is what it's like to have a 64th gate activation. I don't have it, but I'm getting a sense of that. And so then it's the job of the 47 in the mind to take all that garbage that's coming in, this pressure from the top to understand, and chew it over and try to make sense of it. So that's what's happening with people that have these heavy activations. You can see here my partner's activations and see that he has this heavy head definition with a 60, not a 64, but he has the 47. So he's really leaning on the 64, and he has the 63, and then he has a full channel. And so it's just like Ross says, there's going to be no release, no rest, and no relaxation for these kinds of people until they put the mind in its own place, and until the mind can chew on it and it can come down here through the 62nd gate, the gate of attention to detail, so opinions and then details, and then be spoken out. And I gotta tell you, that's what his whole life has been. Trying to make sense of confusion, making sense of the past, logically making sense of the future, having an opinion about it, and speaking the details to support that opinion and get it out there. So once you can do that, and you can just let all of this pass through, you're all right. You're okay. And you can see a split definition. So he's having some challenges connecting all this mental activity of his to the electrical things that are connected down here in his body, and connecting to the wisdom of his sacral center, and that that is supposed to be his authority. But he is the ultimate definition of a skeptic. And so I have to trust that he'll get to his place in his own time. But this is exactly the kind of mental pressure and energy confusion that he's born to deal with, I guess. So 63, line 1, equanimity, or Ra calls it composure, whether development will continue to take place or not. These people are always, with the 63rd activation, really looking for a pattern to establish them in the future. And of course, this leads to our song for today, which is Sideways, playing in the background by Citizen Cope. These feelings won't go away. They're knocking me sideways. I'm just full of confusion about what it is that's going on and what I'm going to do with it. There it is. That's the feeling of it. So we clock the moon, interestingly enough, at 61.4 because 61 is the other gate in the mental center. So for this brief time in the morning, we have all three of those crown gates being lit. So anyone who has any gates at all on the upper side of their mind is going to have a mental activation and be able to have some sort of feeling like they need to solve some questions, they need to answer some questions, they need to resolve some problems, they need to figure something out, they need to get some things straight in their mind. So this is a great day for mental activities in general. So 61.4 is research to explore the depths of inner truth. There it is. And when the moon is done with 61, it will move to 60, which is all the way other on the other side end of the body. This is basically moving straight from pressure in the top individually to learn things to pressure in the bottom. That 60 that we're feeling now in the Pluto, that pressure to maintain stability and tradition and the old ways. So you have this little bit of a battle. This struggle up and down. Shall we move towards the new, or shall we really cling on to the old? And of course, we know that in the end, it's got to move towards the new. We can't hold on to to the old. We have so many people trying to do that, and of course, ultimately, that will not work. Not for them, not for us, not for no one. We might as well take this opportunity to mourn the things that are passing, the age that is dying and going to be gone, and look at it, love it, give it our thoughts, but realize it is going, it has to go, it has to end, and we have to embrace the future, embrace the newness, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it tears off our masks and makes us vulnerable, makes us reconsider all the things we thought we knew that are now obviously not true. It's what the universe is calling from us, and we feel it. I think all of us in our bodies, this tension between the old and the new. Shall I let in the new? It's so new. It's so unknown. I'm so uncomfortable with it. Xenophobia is long known to be a human's way of being, but it's something that we all have to overcome individually and collectively. And the universe is here to help us do that with energies just like this flowing through our bodies. It's kind of like I've started to see like the hormones in our bodies. When I was young, I had no idea of how much hormones were pushing what I do. And now that I'm much older looking at it, I'm just like, wow, I'm totally run by hormones. I thought I was different. I thought I was above that. I thought I was, so civilized. Oh, I don't have PMS. Oh, I'm not hormonal. But it was just because I was so disconnected from my body. As soon as I've started to actually connect with my body, I've started to see, oh, shit, hormones are running me. I just didn't have any idea of that cycle running in me. And the transits are the same way. The transits are all this underlying energy that's pushing us and moving us this way. And unless you're aware of those energies, you don't even know. You just think, oh, today's a good day, today's a bad day. I'm feeling, testy today. I'm feeling okay today. But so much of it is happening in the transits. I've learned so much by watching these transits and tracking them personally. And of course, now I'm starting to share that information with you so that you can do it too, to some extent, without having to go through, an hour of study every day to do that. But I'm approaching an hour, so I must get on to finishing this transit here. So Mercury clocks at 59.3 at the beginning of the day because I looked at that yesterday. That is openness, the general openness to becoming intimate. I will read 4 and 5, which are also being hit today and in the energy going forward. So 59.4, true friendship, the power for non-sexual closeness and intimacy. This is the true gate of friendship. or the line of friendship within the sexual role gate. So it's this gate here coming out of the sacral center. This is our sexual gate and our sexual channel. So this is where fertility is happening. And just as an interesting note, this channel must be activated in order for a person's fertility to happen. So if you're trying to have a baby, you need to be able to make sure that one way or another you have these energies. It's very interesting. So I have the 59 and my partner has the 6. We decided for at some point we wanted to try to have children, but we're too old and we didn't want to, get all into fertility drugs and stuff like that. So we just let it be. But Ra says if you only have the 59 active in the woman, that's one thing, she can hold that in her. But if she goes to the grocery store after having had sex, somebody for sure will have that 6 that will connect the channel, and boom, fertilization will happen there. He said tons of fertilizations, tons of unwanted pregnancies have happened because the woman had sex the night before and then went to the grocery store the next day. So if you don't want to have a kid, stay out of public places after you've had sex, and you might just slide by. Very interesting how that works. Anyway, 59.5, seduction, the power of sexuality to attract. So this is the seductor, the seductress, the Casanova kind of energy going on here. So that will be passing through today. And then Venus is moving from 33.3 to 4. 4 is dignity, dignified retreat for regeneration. That is my specific activation of that 33rd gate up there. And it's very much, you need your alone time to regenerate. People who have that do not regenerate in public. They need to go be alone to regenerate. I know because I'm one of them. It also moves through 50, oh my goodness, today. 33.5, timing, to keep intention secret or to be aware of appropriate timing. And then, of course, our Mars energy will, it's starting off in 57.3, which we looked at yesterday, which was, just to remind us again, acuteness of perfected intelligence, because, of course, this whole splenic center is about intelligence, body intelligence, intelligence to survive. And 57.4, which it moves into for a larger part of the day, is sensitiveness, to master relationships with sensitivity. And that is, of course, the intuition gate. So to intuitively master relationships. So if you're someone who has any activations in this circuitry here of it's self-empowerment circuitry. I just forgot the name of the circuit. I'm having trouble today, but I have to get this out because this is tomorrow's transit. So I have to give it whether I'm in the mood for it or not so that it can be edited and get to you. So connections for today. We will, of course, have the 64-47 being connected because the 47 is in our nodes of the moon right now. So this will make an activation that makes the entire world activated in the crown and the mind today in a very specific way. So if you find yourself being drawn to think about the past or make sense of the past, that's the transit giving you that energy. We also have a connection because of Mars moving through 57, the gate of intuition, which we just talked about. It will give us this pure connection from the splenic center and our body intelligence straight to the throat. So it's that flash of inspiration that we have that's possible to have for us today. An immediate expression of intuitive awareness is what it's called. That's the improviser. And then, of course, 64-47 is called the seeker of sense. Deliberation over memories to find the meaning of experiences. That is, of course, a collective abstract circuit that's being activated there. So it's not the logical side, although we do have the 63 giving us that confusion and skepticism on the logical side. But this is collective abstract. So it's just, flashes of memories and things from the past, and it's up to you to make sense of them for yourself and ultimately for others as well. So there's the energy for today. Take it, do with it as you will, enjoy it. We have 35 and 5 as the underneath energy of this. So it's all about staying in your rhythms, staying in your flow, feeling your experiences, and then looking at them afterwards to make sense of them. So until tomorrow, take care. Bye.